I don't think we've met in person, but I started here 3 years ago, and I think there was a service where, the Zoom service, or an online service where you spoke a little bit. So that was my, yeah, that was my first time. Oh, did you? I'm making this. No. It's like one typo. Yeah. Yep. Very smart. Saves a lot of grief.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. It's so good to see everybody's smiling faces. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Church of Urbana-Champaign. My name is Kelly Skinner. My pronouns are she, her, and I am the manager of religious education, religious exploration and engagement. And I am so delighted to be leading worship this morning as we celebrate the beginning of a new academic year. We are a church of many different theologies and identities, united by our shared commitment to building community, seeking inspiration, promoting justice, and finding peace. We are also a congregation of all ages, which means we embrace all the noises and little disruptions our kids can bring into a Sunday morning. And as always, whether you're young in body or just young in heart, if you're feeling a little fidgety this morning or distracted, you're welcome to get a coloring page or move over to the activity table during worship to engage your hands while we're engaging your heart. If this is your first time joining us, welcome. We have services here in Fellowship Hall during the summer because it's a lot cooler than in our sanctuary. And it gives us a chance to be a little bit more creative and engaging with how we worship together. We will be back in the sanctuary at the end of the month. I know. And at the end of August, we will be celebrating water communion with our new settled minister, Reverend Beth Mulholland. Yay! And soon after that, we'll have our first Sunday of REE classes on September 10th. So with that in mind, as we're busy preparing for this new year of REE classes, I'm going to invite up our REE Council Chair to tell you some of the things about the program this fall.
Hi, everyone. My name is Natalie Danner. I'm the new REE Council Chair. And let me just see right here. I wanted to tell you a little bit about the REE program that's happening this fall. One of the things that is new this year is that we have the online registration form, which is now open, and it's ready to get your child or youth enrolled. There is a flyer with the QR code back on the connections table, which is on the back of in the fellowship hall here. And you can also find the link on our webpage. I also want to make you aware that we're doing a program called Crossing Paths this year. It's an interactive class where we're going to learn about and get to experience different world religions. This class will be offered on Sunday afternoons from September through June, and it's open to youth 7th grade and older, their parents, all adults from our congregation. You can scan the QR code in your order of service to learn more and register for the class. And let's see. We are still looking for a few good people to complete our teaching teams. Here are the grade level groups that need a volunteer or two to complete the teams. Those are pre-KK, grades 1 and 2, grades 3 and 4, and the Crossing Paths class that I spoke about. So if your children or youth have benefited from REE in the past, or if you have interest in working with children and youth, please see me or Cindy, if you can wave, or Kelly, if you can wave. I think all of you know who Kelly is. After service, we definitely need you. No experience is necessary. We provide all the training and curriculum, and your volunteer commitment is only once or twice a month, so you will have plenty of time to attend services as well. So thank you very much.
And if you don't want to talk to anybody, there is a volunteer interest form QR code, because I love me some QR codes, on right next to my office. So thank you, Natalie, and I'm so looking forward to our program this year. And so now a brief chance to acknowledge that this isn't just an empty room with one person up here at the front, but that we are a community of equals. So let's take a moment to turn in your seats, or stand if you like, and greet your neighbor. We can just do a little. All right, I know we love talking to each other. We are very, very social. And so if you didn't get to talk with everybody and say hi to the people that you want to, you can continue socializing after service in Fellowship Hall, and you can also enjoy the beautiful weather outside. If you do bring some of our snacks or dishes outside, just please remember to bring them back in by noon, so that our wonderful person who's taking care of dishes, Tom, can not spend all afternoon here. But you are welcome to stay as long as you like and socialize. So now let's prepare to begin our time of worship together. We celebrate the beginning of the academic year by thinking about backpacks. Be it real or metaphor, whatever you put in your backpack or your briefcase or your purse or your satchel, whatever you've brought into the sanctuary today that might be weighing you down, I invite you to leave it behind. Whatever you are carrying that is leaving you distracted, or maybe causing you anxiety or stress, making you worn out or feeling hopeless, leave it behind. If you need it, it'll be there when we're done. But for this hour, just let it go. Come into this place with open hearts. Come in to this place with a soul that has remembered how to be tender again. Come into this place with a renewed hope for the world. come into this place ready to build a world we've always been worthy of and have always dreamed of. So whether this is your first Sunday with us or your 1,000th, whether you're here in person or online, know that you're welcome here, and this service is here for you. I hope that you find in it something that you need in this particular moment of your life. And so please stand if you're able and join in as we sing our opening hymn, We Give Thanks. And we'll repeat the words 2 times. So whenever we gather as you use, we light a flaming chalice, symbol of our Unitarian Universalist tradition, to mark this time as special and sacred. And so I invite up Lucas Diego to help us light the chalice. And if you have a candle or a chalice at home, you can light it now with us. And join us in reading along if you wish. We light this chalice for the light of truth, the warmth of love, and the fire of commitment. We light this symbol of our faith as we gather together. Just love technology. So this is a really special time for our children and youth, as well as the members of our congregation that work in schools or homeschool or work at the university. It can be an exciting time to meet new teachers and reconnect with friends and classmates, but it can also be a time of nervousness and uncertainty for those who are starting new things. This is especially hard for people who have recently moved into our community, those who have English as a second language, or people who don't have the resources or combinations that they need to help them flourish. We are reminded today that every transition and new start is a reminder of the ever-flowing cycle of life, and that the universe is creating fresh and amazing things in us and through us. Though we are sad about the summer coming to a close, we are grateful for this school year. We appreciate the opportunity to learn and grow, knowing it's one of the biggest privileges we have.
Good morning. I'm Marilyn Ryan, and I'm going to read The First Day of School, an Immigration Story by Colin Yuan. A cacophony of birds jolted me awake, along with the slap of water from the automated sprinklers on my window. The sun glared through the curtainless windows. I didn't know it could pierce with such intensity. Mama quietly stepped into my room and set out my clothes. After some warm noodles, my parents and I set out on foot to Longley Way Elementary School. Standing at the gate, I watched as a school bus unloaded ecstatic children, most of whom seemed to be covered in freckles and blonde hair. Nobody wore a uniform. Instead, kids wore all kinds of clothing and had different backpacks. Some of them had square roller packs that they could sit and ride on. This seemed like the coolest thing ever, but it was still strange to me. In the carpool loop, students waved goodbye as their minivans drove off. Reluctantly, I released my tight squeeze on my mom's hand and walked past the colossal metal bars, looking back at them one last time before entering the institutional red brick building. Bells and whistles and chattering converged into one big disorienting force. You see, when we left China, I was 9, in the middle of 4th grade. The decision felt very sudden, and my parents didn't leave me a lot of time to dwell on the implications. Leaving my home city behind for Los Angeles seemed scary. What about my friends and my teachers? How about my grandparents? They had taken care of me as a little baby and a toddler, and I was still very close with them. There was no real discussion of how things would be different in the US or what I should expect. "Everybody say hi to Colin. He's from China," shouted the teacher, whose name I couldn't pronounce. The harsh fluorescent bulbs in classroom 4A shone down like a spotlight as I quietly introduced myself in accented English. I had learned English in grade school and by going to tutoring classes twice a week, but initially I still often had trouble following what teachers or other students were saying, especially when they used slang and idioms. A couple kids stared at me, but then they went back to picking at the rug or talking to their friends. Scanning the room, I was surprised at how homey and warm it seemed. There were the big tables pushed together, a projector, a whiteboard. The room was carpeted and students' artwork hung on bulletin boards. It was nothing like the cold, bland classrooms in my Chinese school, with their concrete floors and tightly packed rows of individual desks. Later, I came to understand that those shared tables and brightly colored decorations symbolized collaboration and self-expression, and open discussion about books and ideas, rather than just regimented raising of hands to answer questions. Here we were assigned projects, such as reenacting a scene from a book we were reading with props and costumes, or selecting a state in the United States to research and then creating a diorama with its most important elements. This would prove to be a monumental shift for me, allowing my creativity to flourish. That first day, though, class for me was mostly fidgeting and nail biting. I only really participated in math lessons since 4th graders in China learn more advanced math than children in the US. At least I was ahead there, which made me feel momentarily cool. We were led then in a single file line through the fluorescent corridor to the cafeteria. I stood on tiptoe while in line to see the food being served, but saw no steamy rice. When it was my turn, I stood motionless looking at rather unappetizing selections of hard pizza slices and dry chicken nuggets. "Young man," the cafeteria lady said sternly, "what do you want?" I pointed to the chicken nuggets and grabbed a box of chocolate milk on the way out. On the far side of the lunch tables, I found myself a clean, open seat. Dipping my nuggets in an excess amount of ketchup, I regretted ever complaining about the Kung Pao chicken served at my old school. I contemplated my future as I gulped down chocolate milk, trying to wash down bits and pieces of nuggets that I had shoved into my mouth. At recess, I sat under a big oak tree and picked at the dry yellow grass while children bounced balls against the wall or hopped on boxes drawn on the asphalt. I let out a couple of chuckles in the spirit of their gaiety. Envious of their screams and laughs, I wondered when I would bounce that ball with them or line up to hop on those little squares on the ground. But I didn't even know the point of those games. I missed the familiar whistle and thwack of jump ropes on the asphalt. Looking up at the clear blue sky, I missed the colorful dances of the kites I used to fly during recess with my pals back home. The faces of my buddies grew fuzzy as I tried to picture them. My teacher came over and introduced me to a Chinese-American girl with long, beautiful jet black hair and a baby face. I smiled shyly. I said in Mandarin, "You're Chinese too." "Nope, I'm American," she replied. I insisted again in Mandarin, "You're wrong, you're Chinese." In accent in Mandarin, she told me to stop talking Chinese. Then she ran off to join her friends, proving that she was one of them and I was not. Still, she ended up helping me with assignments and translations and adjusting to the daily schedule. Her Chinese remained terrible, but my ESL classes accelerated my English skills, and before long, I was translating for my parents, helping them communicate with the school, with the mail, paying bills. My father learned enough English in order to order at a restaurant or talk to store clerks, but my mother only attended a few English classes before giving up. My parents did not talk about their own experiences of fitting in and adjusting. At least they didn't in front of me. Maybe they wanted to shield their children from difficulties and problems. One of the first friends I made was another boy who had emigrated from China. He didn't seem to want to assimilate at all. He simply shut himself off from this foreign culture and stuck to his own. But I was extremely curious about the American way of life. Everything was fresh to me: the weather, the malls, the suburbs, the food, the size of the food. The first time I successfully ordered hamburgers at In-N-Out, I felt a sense of accomplishment and pride. Soon I found that even though I missed my family, I didn't really miss China at all. The first few summers when we went back to visit, I detested the heat, the mosquitoes, the long dinners I had to sit through. But during more recent visits, I've grown regretful about not learning more about my culture. But back then, I just missed Los Angeles, the open space, the sunshine, YouTube. I think that first day of school demarcated the first halves of my childhood: one Chinese and one American.
So I would like to invite Reverend Sally up.
All right. With that, I would like to invite any student, any child, youth, adult who is starting a school year this year, if you brought a backpack or another bag, or just your invisible backpack because you didn't know you're supposed to do that, or you forgot, I invite you to come up to the front and stand around in this front area as you're able, because we are going to give you a backpack blessing today and send you into the school year prepared with everything that you need. I will also invite members from the Immigration Justice team to bring their backpacks up, which are going to be filled with supplies for unaccompanied minors in the American Southwest. I see at least some interested people making their way. All right, we have some real backpacks here. You came prepared. Thank you. All right. And I want you to hold your backpack close to your heart, or your imaginary backpack close to your heart. and really feel the blessing that is being bestowed on you for the school year. Here is our prayer of blessing for all of our backpacks. Spirit of life and hope and love, for many of us, school starts this week. Some of us are excited about new beginnings, eager to start a new school year, get a new classroom, maybe even move to a new school. Some of us are homeschooled and we have new beginnings too, just not in the same way. A new year always means new subjects, new levels of things we'll be expected to do. Some of us are excited about the new beginnings. Holy Spirit, be with everyone who's looking forward to what lies ahead. Some of us are nervous about what's coming. Is that any of us? Some of us are scared. Some of us try hard to be big and brave, and it's not always easy. For some of us, school is a place where we really don't want to be. So, Spirit of life, be with everyone who's nervous about what lies ahead. May each person's backpack be their friend, reminding them that they are held and unique and special, and that they will be okay. May their backpack hold all the special things they need to help them remember how strong they are. Be with our children and our adults as they journey out from us. May this new year be for each one filled with fun, adventures, and unexpected joys. Help them remember their values, let their lives be guided by the principles of our shared faith. Fill their hearts with courage and strength and tenderness. Help them tell the truth about who they are and all they see. Help us listen in a way that lets them speak. Be with all of us whose hearts break for the backpacks not taken up tomorrow. Help us all to reach out using our minds and bodies and words, trusting our wise and growing hearts to truly make our classrooms and our workplaces, our homes and our churches and our world safe and nurturing places for all. Fill us with courage and help us know that wherever we go in love. May love be at the center with these young people, people of all ages, this day and every day. May it be so, and amen. I invite you to look out at all the faces looking back at you, people you know, people you don't know, and I want you to feel that they love you, that they will be with you on the bus, in the hallways, in the lunchroom, on the playground. They will be with you, loving you and cheering you on. And we want to share something with you that can remind you of this community who believe in you and love you. And Kelly has a gift. Oh, I have a gift. What we have here is a keychain that you can attach to your backpack or attach to whatever you see fit. On one side, it says, "Love at the center." On the other side, "Build community, seek inspiration, promote justice, find peace." A reminder of this community that is behind you and will support you. And once your backpack is blessed and has its keychain to go with you today, we will invite those who are staying up here for the service to return to your seats. Thank you for coming up here. And kids and families who are interested are invited to go downstairs with the Immigration Justice team and help with the backpacks and school supplies that they'll be donating to unaccompanied minors who are starting middle school and high school in their local schools. You can have fun packing those backpacks up and hearing a little bit from Lucas Diego, who lit our chalice, who's going to share some of his own story, being a kid starting school in a new place. So with that, you're free to leave the front. Thank you for coming up here. Kids, you're welcome to go downstairs and help pack the backpacks.
So if you're going down, you can follow Pam and Carolyn and whoever else is going. And if you forgot your backpack, if you are a student of life or a student at any level of education or in, there are plenty more backpack tags, so you can come up to the front and get one as well. All right. We didn't want to blind anybody during the blessing. So we, as UUs, acknowledge that our circle of care doesn't stop at our church doors. We are deeply connected to the community we find ourselves in and to the wider world. Each Sunday, in recognition of the very real interdependence and reliance on each other, we pass the plate and share our offering with an organization doing the work of justice in the world. Through the end of August, we'll be sharing our plate with First Followers. It's a local nonprofit that works with men and women who have been impacted, often negatively, through incarceration. First Followers' mission is to build strong and peaceful communities by providing support and guidance and hope to formerly incarcerated people and their loved ones through peer mentorship, workforce development, and advocacy. So you can give by text, you can give through the online portal on our website, or if you're here in the sanctuary, we're going to begin passing the basket, and checks can be made out to Unitarian Universalist Church of Urbana-Champaign. No matter how you choose to contribute today, half of your donation will go towards the work of First Followers, and half will go to the work of our church. So we invite you to give whatever generous for you, and know that anything you contribute will be gratefully received and put to use, helping make a real impact right in our community. Thank you for your generosity expressed in this and so many other ways. So backpacks are something that we often take with us on a journey, whether it's a journey through the school day or a journey through life. What's in your backpack? When I was in high school, my backpack weighed nearly as much as I did. There were times putting it on when I had to regain my balance and stop myself from falling over and then lean forward to counteract the weight suspended by those two heavily burdened shoulder straps. And in high school, my backpack was a fixture in my life. It was on my back in the halls, beside my desk during the day at school, by my side at night, one in a sea of backpacks outside the cafeteria during the 20 minutes we had to scarf our lunch in the middle of the day. And I carried huge books in that backpack because we didn't have computers back in the day. I had history and biology, calculus and physics. There was philosophy and religion books in there too, because I went to a Catholic school. And those blessedly were a little bit lighter, at least physically. What's in your backpack these days? What is it that you carry with you throughout the day and into the night? What is it that you carry that either enables you to be your best self and do your work in the world, whatever that may be? And what is it that weighs you down, so much so that it feels like you might topple over? What's in your backpack?
A poem, Song of the Open Road by Walt Whitman. Afoot and light-hearted, I take to the open road, healthy, free, the world before me. The long brown path before me, leading wherever I choose. Henceforth, I ask not good fortune. I myself am good fortune. Henceforth, I whimper no more, postpone no more, need nothing. Done with indoor complaints, libraries, querulous criticisms, strong and content, I travel the open road. The earth, that is sufficient. I do not want the constellations any nearer. I know they are very well where they are. I know they suffice for those who belong to them. Still, here I carry my old delicious burdens. I carry them, men and women. I carry them with me wherever I go. I swear it is impossible for me to get rid of them. I am filled with them, and I will fill them in return.
So I learned earlier this spring that other churches, other UU churches, and other churches of other denominations around the US actually do this ritual of the blessing of the backpacks. And I knew I needed to bring it to our congregation because first, I want the children and the youth of UUCUC to know that they carry the love of this congregation wherever they go. I want that for our adults too, of course, but I believe it's especially important for our kids. And if you look at actually one of our values, we talk about that over there when we talk about our children and youth and how important that is. But second, I want the adults of this congregation to know how important your support for our young folks are and for each other. When we are frightened, when we are trying new things, when we're taking bold steps into the unknown, it's our collective power to bless and embolden, to share love and courage and hope and joy and determination and friendship from the blessing of the backpacks. It's nothing to sneeze at. In fact, it can be nothing short of life-giving and life-saving. Let us not forget that. We are powerful, and what we do here is important. So as our children and our parents and our teachers among us prepare for a new school year, if you don't have kids in school, they all start back this week. I'd like to invite us to think about two categories of things that we metaphorically carry on our backs as individuals and as a community. First, there's that delicious burdens that we heard about in the Walt Whitman poem that are so difficult to lay down. And what Whitman is talking about in that poem, I think it's about the people that he carries with him, men and women, those delicious burdens. But I think it's the stories that we carry, the past mistakes, the shoulds and the shouldn'ts. So many of the things that we carry deep in our hearts and our minds, those also become delicious burdens. I like thinking of them that way because it explains how they become attractive in their own way, like old friends or ex-partners, and laying them down becomes all that much harder. So let's examine them today, those delicious burdens that we carry. And second, let's consider the tools that help us make our way in the world, the resources and the ways of thinking that we need to be the people that we wish to be, the ones that we hope to be, we try to be. How do we reconcile the two, the burdens and the tools? How do we make space for everything we are carrying, everything we need to carry? And what, if anything, do we need to let go or take out of the pack? What might we need to leave behind? So I'd like to invite you to imagine your backpack, whether it's real or whether you just want to make one up. And you might want to choose to close your eyes for this part. So what does your backpack look like? Is it functional? Is it fashionable? Maybe a little bit of both? Are your initials embroidered on it? Or have you decorated it in a certain way? Is it covered in pins and buttons? Is it brand spanking new? Or is it way past its prime and frayed in familiar places? How does it feel on your back? How do the straps feel on your shoulders? Does it fasten around your waist? Or do you clip it at your chest? Or are you cool and you just wear it with one strap? What color is it? Now open it up and look inside. What delicious burdens do you carry with you? What stories do you carry? What past regrets or fears? What hopes and dreams, whether they're realized or thwarted? Reflect, if you would, on what has filled your pack up to this moment. What fills your pack right now? How heavy is it? Are there things you want to hold on to? Are there things that you're ready to let go? What are you ready to take out of your pack? Now is the perfect time to do that. Here at the beginning of a new season, a new year, clean out that backpack. Time to change the story you tell yourself. Create a new story. Fill your backpack with tools that will serve you rather than burdens that weigh you down. Think you can do it? I know it's not easy. So now I'm going to give you some suggestions on some things that you can put in your metaphorical backpacks. And I brought my handy dandy backpack, the one that I use when I travel. I took this to Turkey with me this summer. I took it to Disney. I take it on picnics. I think this is my daughter's old high school backpack from freshman year. What are some essentials that we're going to put in this backpack? I think they're different for all of us, but I want to propose this morning a few things that I believe that each of us would do well to have, kind of like that essential first aid kit to put in your backpack. So let's start by putting in a spiritual practice. This is a book on how to spiritual journal. Put that going to try not to catch it on fire. Be it meditation or prayer, be it journaling or reading or creative practices like making art or crocheting or quilting or knitting, or active practices like yoga or walking or jogging. Perhaps your spiritual practice is coming here on Sunday mornings. But let's put in that pack something that's going to help us clear our minds and focus our attention and gives us space to listen to that still small voice inside that helps us connect to our priorities and to something greater than ourselves. Some of us, including me, struggle to identify a spiritual practice that works for us, and even more, find time to actually make it a practice, to be consistent. But whether it's children or work or a to-do list that's a mile long, and even our retired folks, they're not exempt from this. You are the busiest ones of all. But if we're not only going to survive but thrive in these times in which we find ourselves, we must identify for ourselves a spiritually sustaining practice. Anne Dillard reminds us that how we live our days is how we live our lives. And in Sojourners magazine, author Wes Granberg Michelson said, "The inner lives of many have been thrown into disequilibrium. We need to discover the roots for resistance and creative public engagement that can be spiritually sustained for the long run." And that comes with spiritual practices. So put that in your backpack. Second, I'm going to suggest that we put in some appreciative inquiry. I know it sounds like I've been to a management seminar. I promise you, I actually do have a background in administrative of nonprofits, so I love appreciative inquiry. And I've been working on developing my muscles of gratitude and abundance over the last few years. And as I've done that, I've noticed how many of our systems seem to focus on what isn't working, what needs to be fixed, the problems that need to be solved. And this shows up at work, at home, in our relationships, in thinking of ourselves, and here in our congregation. I think it's just pervasive in our culture. We ask, what isn't working? What can we do better? What needs to change? And what a drag that can be sometimes. What if we asked instead, what is working well? What are we or I doing right? Given what is now, what might work in the future? I think asking questions like these in our personal lives and our professional lives, and especially here in our congregational life, will help change our perspective and open up possibilities that we never could have imagined while we're solving those problems that we identify. So let's add some appreciative inquiry into our backpack. So another tool for this time is having an abundant mindset. I've never been one for like manifesting or prosperity gospel, like, God wants you to be rich, so do as I say and you will be, or think it, believe it, and pray for it, or manifest it, and it will come no matter what it is. But I do know in my personal finances and organizations that I've been involved with that are intentional, that when you plan for it, when you ask for it, when you live as if, things work out. A scarcity mindset doesn't serve us. It gets us nowhere, and frankly, it's exhausting. And it's the fuel of some of the political rhetoric that enrages me, and some of you too, the most. There's not enough room in our country. There's not enough jobs. There's not enough tax money to do the things that we think are important. There's not enough power. And if you give this to one group, then this other group will get less. Not enough, not enough, not enough. A Unitarian Universalist adult education curriculum on generosity that I found in all my files states the following: a spiritual mindset of abundance perceives gifts such as time and energy, money and love as plentiful and accessible. It involves a focus on gratitude for all we are able to give and receive, rather than a focus on the things that we are not giving and receiving. How might an abundance mindset change the way you approach your life? How might it change how we approach our congregational life? There's only one way to find out. Let's add it to the backpack. Two more tools for these times. First, we must have the tool of prioritization. There are so many demands for our attention, so much news to carry, so many needs to be met, and mouths to be fed, and issues to care about. And really, no matter how abundant our mindset, we really can't do it all. And so while we nurture a spirit of abundance, we must also work to prioritize what is the most urgent and what is the most important. This is as true for us as individuals, recovering perfectionist here, as it is for us as a congregation. What is the most urgent and important, and what kind of resources does it demand? So let's put prioritization in the pack. Actually, this is really cool because one of the things that I learned about prioritization is filling up the jar with the big rocks first. And our final tool for our times, we already have. It's an amazing tool that me, as someone who is new to UU, is constantly amazed by. We just have to put it in our backpack. It's covenant. It's our covenant of right relations. This is a time when civility has gone out the window and when it's easy to turn our anger and frustration inwards to bicker and fight among ourselves. Or even worse, to not say the things that we say to one another if you're in right relationship. We don't hold people all the time who have differences of thought and opinion with compassion and love. And that goes for the larger us of American progressives, the slightly smaller of us who are Unitarian Universalists, and us here at UUC-UC. Let's remember that we can use our tool of covenant to outline how we want to be in relationship together. It's a roadmap for treating each other with the respect and care that enables us to do good work together, to have those difficult conversations with one another and make change when it's sometimes uncomfortable. It allows us to live together in messy human relationships, in community with one another, when we don't always all believe or need or want the same things. It's really an amazing tool that you have already in your toolbox. This is my covenant. So spiritual practice, appreciative inquiry, having an abundance mindset, prioritization, and covenant. These are tools for our time. These are tools for our lives. These are tools for our shared ministry. What's in your backpack? The open road is calling each one of us. So let's get going. So I invite you all to rise in body, or if your body is not able, then in spirit, and join us in singing hymn 128, for all that is in our life. That is our life. We sing our thanks and praise for all of the gift which we are called to use to build the common good and make our own days glad. For needs with others serve, for services we give, for work and its rewards, for hours of rest and love, we come with praise and thanks for all that is our life. Sorrows we must bear, for years pain and loss, for each new thing we learn, for fearful hours that pass, we come with praise and thanks for all that is our life. For all that is our life, we sing our thanks and praise. For all life is a gift which we are called to use to build a common ground and make our own days glad. So now we extinguish our chalice to bring our worship time to a close. We extinguish this flame. So as we listen to the blessing of our closing music, may we know this ending as more of a time of goodbye. May the warmth of this community and the memory of our chalice flame sustain our hearts and encourage our minds as we engage the blessings of life's challenges and joys. The service has ended. Your service has begun. Go in peace, go in joy, and go in love. Please join us in singing hymn 301, Touch the Earth and Reach the Sky.